He went to be with the Lord in 2014 at age 84 years old. But he knew that he would not be here when it took place. He said, well, his death experience, he had a death experience in August 1975, August 8th. And I won't give the details. It's all over the internet, so you could find it if you wanted to get it. It's quite remarkable, where his body was very sick, and he was hemorrhaging, and his spirit left his body, and he stood before the Lord. And whether his body was dead or almost dead, I don't know how that works, but his spirit went before the Lord, and the Lord said, "Do you want to go back?" And Bob said, "No, I don't." He actually said, "No, I don't." And then the Lord said, "Bob, did you learn to love? Because that's what I'm going to evaluate your life on. Loving God with all your heart and loving people. And even though our love is weak, our love is still real," just going back to that point. And then he said, "You want to go back?" He said, "No." And the Lord actually told him, he says, "I'm standing there, I'm looking at Jesus." He says, "Bob, you've always been a bit of a coward." And he says, "But I'm going to help you." And Bob thought, "A bit of a coward?" He goes, "Yeah. When you get rejected, you want to quit." He goes, "And that's cowardice. But I'm going to help you if you'll go back." And so Bob says, he's listening, and he said, "Here's what's going to happen." He goes, "A third world war is going to come." He said, I heard this directly in the presence of the Lord. He said this to me. He goes, "My life is over. I just want to go into the eternal city and be done with it." He goes, "The third world war." He goes, "The third world war is coming, but I'm going to bring 1 billion people to my kingdom with great power beyond anything you've ever seen." And Bob said, "Lord, I would go back for souls." Because Bob, he says, "I was always a good Baptist." He goes, "I'd go back for souls." And the Lord says, "I'm sending you back because I want you to stir up people in this hour, even though it will be after your day when it happens. Will you go touch some people so they would be awakened in their faith, so they would not be discouraged by the increasing trouble, but they would have confidence in the certainty of the glory of God beyond any measure ever seen in history? Would you go back and stir up some leaders?" So Bob said yes. He came back, and so he told me many times, he goes, he was very big on this. This is like a little disconcerting, but he wouldn't back down on it. And he said, the time is coming when the national government of America is going to be temporarily disrupted. And I said, "What?" He goes, "I don't have the details, but it will happen for a season." And he said, "But in that context, before and after and all in between," he goes, "the glory of God will be increasing." I love what Bill Johnson said. I got to watch his program. Isaiah 60, verses 1 and 2. That's one of my favorite verses. When deep darkness, Isaiah 60, verse 1 and 2, covers the earth, deep darkness, the glory will arise on the people, and the people will arise into the glory. So people ask me, is it going to get worse or better? And I go, both. The darkness is going to get darker in the culture. The glory is going to get more pronounced and greater, and there will be pockets of mercy all over the world.